And abortion rights could also be at stake in Kentucky. Democratic Governor Andy Beshear is in a close race with the sitting Republican Attorney General who supports a total abortion ban. So for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News political reporter Taurean Small. Taurean, it's good to see you. How close is the race in Kentucky?
Yeah, Anne-Marie, so we know that this race is in a dead heat right now. That's according to the latest Emerson poll. It says that the two candidates are virtually tied. But this was something that both campaigns quite expected, especially from Democratic incumbent Andy Beshear's camp. They said that he's used to these very tight races. In fact, he won his 2019 bid by just 5,000 votes.
So Beshear is a Democrat in, a largely Republican state. How is President Biden being pinned to this Democratic governor?
Yeah, his Republican challenger, Attorney General Daniel Cameron, is looking to tether the two because he understands just how unpopular the sitting president is in a state like Kentucky. President Biden lost the state to Donald Trump in 2020 by more than 20 points. So he understands that connecting the two, especially in a state that's quite red, could potentially damage Beshear's appeal to some of those Trump voters that he won in 2019 in order to win his seat here.
And, we've seen some recent polling in some swing states where there's certainly a suggestion that that people are less enamored with President Biden than they were during the last election. I imagine Beshear is trying to distance himself somewhat from the current president.
Yeah, I went to his last his last rally in Louisville yesterday, and he drew quite the crowd. It was over 100 people there to support him, chanting. Some folks that I talked to said that they were independent voters. I didn't see any Republicans there, but he made his pitch to Kentuckians at large. He didn't say this was a Democrat campaign. He didn't say it was a Republican campaign or an independent campaign, but he cast a very wide tent because, again, he's looking to bring in some of those Republican voters who voted for Trump in 2016, maybe 2020, to again support him this time around. I do want to say, though, his Republican challenger, Daniel Cameron, was just here to cast his ballot. That's why we're at this precinct right now. But that's the same message that he's making. He's, again, trying to connect Andy Beshear to Joe Biden because he understands just how unpopular the president is here in a red state like Kentucky.
So one of the things about the hot button issue of abortion is that it seems to transcend party lines, if you will. That there are people who may vote Republican but are uncomfortable with more restrictive laws when it comes to abortion. I'm curious how this issue is playing out in Kentucky.
Well, Anne-Marie, my sources familiar with Daniel Cameron's campaign tell me that they don't expect it to be much of a difference in this race. They think the economy is the biggest driver for voters here, and they think that, again, President Joe Biden's unpopularity is part of the reason why they believe they could wean some of those Republican on-the-fence voters away from a crossover appealing campaign like Beshear. But Beshear, the current incumbent's campaign, believes that this will be an issue. Again, looking at the referendum that voters rejected here not too long ago, they did reject that, but by a very thin margin. I think it was only just a couple of percentage points that made the difference. So we'll have to wait and see if it does play a role. I'll be talking to voters here as they come out of the precinct about if that drove them to the polls today.
All right, Taurean, thanks for giving us a bit of a snapshot as to what's going on in Kentucky. Appreciate it. So we're going to have full coverage of Election Night tonight. First up, a special edition of America Decides at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then coverage continues at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can stream it all right here on CBS News.